gather tokens from different blockchain projects. We are partnered with a lot of really strong projects in the space, such as MakerDAO, Clayton, which is Kakao's public blockchain project, HTC, Dapps.com.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think the future is super bright. And we're currently working on a mobile application, so everybody should keep an eye out for
nice. A mobile application for Axie Infinity.
Yeah, right? So it's scheduled for sometime this fall or winter, perhaps.
Okay.
And we're super excited for that. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself and our project. And yeah, it's thank you for inviting me to speak with you guys.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we should say thank you for joining us actually. So I guess so it's Kai. So please say something to introduce yourself to the people in the Zoom link.
Yeah. Hi everyone. This is Kyle from Dapps.com. I'm the founder of CEO. So Dapps.com right now, I believe we are the largest Dapps analytics and distribution platforms. That we are listing over 2,800 Dapps, building on all the mainstream,
nice.
Including TomoChain. TomoChain is one of our partner. And yeah, we're gonna and so right now what we focus on one hand is to provide trusted data and to disclose what's really happening on chain on all the decentralized apps, and on the other hand we're trying to bring more users on board by launching our new product called Dapps Store Wallet. So basically what we're gonna do it's to provide like an easy onboarding process for Dapps users, where they don't have to like set up a lot of wallets and set up a lot of different tools and try to like go through all the complicated process of having MetaMask and scanners and all these tools. By simply having a Dapps.com account, we want them to be able to enjoy decentralized applications. So we're gonna launch that like end of this week. So we only have 2 days until the end of this week. And yeah, so and then we're gonna support more blockchains. Yeah, so yeah, glad to be here. So we've been friends with Axie Infinity and also a lot of other good blockchain projects for a long time. So I think this is our first time sitting together, talk about the industry, talk about the growth, and talk about the future. So glad to be here.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for the introductions. So I'm going to give a quick agenda. So we just started a new introduction ourselves. So next, so the question will be will be divided into two parts. So the first part, there are some questions from me. So we're going to discuss different topics about building a gaming ecosystem on blockchain. So the second part will be we're going to pick up questions from the community. So we're going to answer maybe we try to answer as much as possible, but we will. I mean, for the participants, we'll try to answer questions which is specifically related to building the gaming ecosystem on blockchain. So let's start with the so some questions. I think the first question will be maybe just something to make people understand more about gaming on blockchain. So I'd like to ask, both of you, I believe that many members of TomoChain community, not only TomoChain member community, but also the members of other community as well, they'd like to know, what are the problems, some kind of the user experience problem that blockchain could help in developing games on blockchain. So I think this question is quite closely related to user experience, I guess so. So it's kind of what kind of benefits blockchain can provide to users, to players, compared to traditional gaming. So maybe Kai, you can start. Wanna start?
Hey, you want to start, Jeff? I mean, you're the expert here.
Yeah, I mean, any one of you.
So I think that there are a couple of main benefits that blockchain games can provide to users. One of them, so basically in the current conventional gaming industry, users are primarily the general population, like the vast majority of them are, they pay money and all they get out of the game is enjoyment, right?
Right.
So whereas in a blockchain game, where you actually, truly own your assets, there is potential. And I believe that this potential will grow over time as the ecosystem strengthens and more capital from investors comes into the space. There's potential for people to actually make a profit in a couple of ways: by doing well in competitions, by contributing content to the different ecosystems. So by like making blog posts and doing referrals, onboarding new players, making guides, doing streams. Also by, so by doing well in tournaments, by creating content, and also just by buying like rare and limited assets that are insured. You can see the scarcity actually on the blockchain. So say a new game is coming out and you think that it's a great idea, the art looks amazing, the gameplay concept is amazing. Typically what they'll do is, they'll do a limited sale of items, usually called a pre-sale. And you can actually, by being one of those early members, you can snap up or purchase some of those limited assets. And if the game, actually, kind of fulfills your thesis and ends up doing well, you can end up by making a profit. So it's a different type of crowdfunding model than traditionally, where a lot of indie developers, they do crowdfunding. It's like you get some merchandise, you get early access. Even if the indie developer, he ends up having a hit game, if you're one of the early supporters, you don't really get much other than entertainment and some merchandise. So basically what blockchain games allow users to become are, more true stakeholders in a network. And if they think a game is going to do well, they can put their money where their mouth is, and they can actually kind of speculate or make something, kind of analogous to an investment.
Oh, it sounds like, a new economy about blockchain. I mean, blockchain games, right? Yeah. So, Kai, you want to maybe contribute something?
Yeah, I'll make additional comments based on what Jiho were saying. So I think one thing that like by having all the assets on blockchain actually increases the liquidity of your assets, your in-game assets, right? So like I think that in the conventional gaming, so like your assets, you only can can only be traded within gamers with the same games, and also on the built-in the marketplace. But right now we have a more like an open ecosystem where you can trade it on OpenSea. And then even though like in the worst case scenario, when the game shut down, or maybe like all those valuable IP and all those valuable assets can be reused and still be traded. And on top of that, and user does not only be able to contribute it to the game by being a player or being like a community promoter, but also they can be one of the game maker. I think that's I think that's that's a lot of games that we're trying to build is their own universe. I believe Axie is also doing that as well. So basically, we have all this asset, we have all this IP, and that's owned by the community. And on top of it, users can build additional scene, additional say they use the Axie to fight with other creators in the outside, and then they can put a Dapps.com t-shirt on top of the Axie, something like that. So there's more possibility to build a multiverse of games. So I think this is the benefits that we've seen.
Yeah, I think so. I totally agree with your points. I mean, one of the strong points of blockchain is about protection of ownership, user access, right? So of course it's very important in gaming, because in game we have a lot of kind of game items. You can't I mean, a game, you can't play a game that your access can be stolen. Just it's stolen that you don't know that why it's stolen. But in blockchain, you can keep its ownership. And one of the next thing I think Joe mentioned, I agree as well, is about we can trade the gaming assets on different marketplaces, right? So yes, I think it's yeah, blockchain contributes quite well at this point. Um, so just I think it's we can just I think blockchain is quite promising. So I want to go back to to some kind of new trainings from the traditional gaming. So kind of do you think do you know what kind of what are the trainings right now in the current gaming industry? I mean the traditional gaming the gaming industry in general, and how do blockchain games can fit to these trainings? Do you understand the question?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll go first. So what we're seeing in the traditional gaming market are a couple of trends. So one, we're seeing the proliferation of free-to-play mobile games. That's a lot of the market right now. However, in free-to-play mobile games, what you typically have is very low retention rates, very low average spends. So basically requires that developers have huge marketing budgets so that they can sustain very large, at least temporary user bases that can then justify the monetary and capital costs of a project. So that basically lends itself to more monopolistic tendencies, less opportunities for indie developers. So I think that's one thing that blockchain can help with, is basically by actually allowing your users to be true stakeholders, by allowing them to truly own their assets. What you get are more loyal users, so that increases with retention rate. And by framing it as an investment and makes basically giving them something that's that they actually own and that they can potentially monetize. The users don't see it as just money down the drain. So the average spend actually increases. So what we've seen in Axie is that the average spend in our game is actually $600, and so far our retention rate is around 32%, which is astronomical numbers compared to the traditional gaming space, right? So we think we're in a good position, and basically, we're just waiting for a couple of things like the mobile application, and basically a little bit more attention around cryptocurrency, a little bit more knowledge, and then really scale dramatically. Something really special happens. So that's one trend. The other trend that we're seeing that's kind of related is just like a winner-take-all market, where a vast majority of the revenue is being made by a couple of key companies. And I think the root causes of that dynamic is kind of similar, where if the only value or benefit that gamers are getting is entertainment, your potential pool of spenders is much lower than if you were to bring other benefits into the mix. So I think that that's why I'm interested in blockchain gaming. I personally, I would never spend money on a game anymore. Like I used to make my mom spend money on games for me when I was a kid. But as an adult, I never spend money on games. I've only ever made money playing games. And that's what really resonated to me about blockchain games, is like, oh, this is a game where I can meet other people who are like-minded, because people who are in blockchain tend to share a lot of the same ideals. Yeah, it's a game where I could potentially make some money.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. I also read a report that a report about the current trending in the gaming industry in general. So it say that the trend is to become like players like to some kind of play to win instead of play to win instead of play to pay to win instead of pay to play. So like in the current gaming industry, you play and the best thing you can get is the enjoyment, right? Let's say you're playing games and you buy a lot of loyalty points from the game, and also during playing the game you get a lot of loyalty points. But there is some thing that you can't get out anything out, other than the enjoyment. You see that point, and that's the whole thing you can have. You can do nothing with that point, and I think blockchain can do it really because it can provide some kind of exchanges, right? You can exchange your points for other tokens. You can use other tokens to use other decentralized applications. So it's like pay to win instead of pay to play. I guess Kai want to contribute something.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So I on top of that, I spent a lot of time recently to dig into the China markets, right? Even though we are a team in China, but we actually never get into the China market in the past. We focus a lot on the West and then outside of China. So I got to spend a lot of time talking to a lot of developers, and I realized that there are two trends that is happening here. One is that so in China, when you try to publish a game, right, you need to get a license from the government.
Mm-hmm.
And the government is trying to it's getting really tough to get such kind of license right now. So basically there are like thousands of games that they are accruing, just waiting for that license to be published in their game. But so they had spent a lot of costs to build the product, but they can't they can't get into the markets, right? They can't get listed on the official app store on Apple. So basically, if they're doing it on blockchain, right, they basically there's no regulation, there's no authority on top of it. They can do whatever they want to do. They can do whatever they want to do, as long as they have the working product and actually the ability to make it to the public and get users, right? So this first problem that blockchain is the best fit for this, because there's no authority on top of any of the developers, right? And then the second part is that I think also there are a lot of like in China, so Tencent, NetEase, these are the game industry giants. Right? They don't even need to make their own games, but what they basically do is just acquire studios, right, and IPs, and then they have all the traffics that they can direct it into any of the product that they want to make it success. So actually a lot of small companies that they struggle to live, and like a lot of small game studio. Yeah, but so in and it gets really hard to get fundings for this kind of small studio, even though they have a very good product, but they don't have traffic, right? So but if we put it in blockchain, right, there are some very successful story. Not talking about the game, but the process of making the game, funding the game. Like Untitled, they did a really great job on their pre-sale, right? Then even though game item pre-sale was not as popular as it used to be, but I think if you manage to do it in the right way, you'll still be able to generate a good amount of seed users who help you to contribute in the game and help the game to be built until a working functions, and then keep expanding. So I think the way that either called like a ICO, IEO, or maybe like it's called IIO in the blockchain game industry. It still works, and it still improves the way of a traditional game industry, game developer that they struggle to raise fund on, especially when the on traditional VC market was a little bit cooled down, and all the traffics were by the giant internet companies.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for sharing this information from the Chinese market. I think I learned something from you. So the next question, I think it's one of the questions I really like Jiho to answer because this is one of the questions that I really want to learn. It's about AC is one of the most successful games in blockchain, right? So just want can you share with us some some experiences, what are challenges and advantages as well, when you guys build the AC community, AC Infinity community and ecosystem. Um, oh, you muted your phone.
Yeah, so the Axie community,
Yeah.
basically, they surprise me every day. Like they're super fanatic about the game. They really love our vision. So yeah, I think like what even from just the beginning, where actually we did an item sale, or I guess an Axie sale, over like almost a year and a half ago. And when people, when the sale started, people couldn't even see their Axies. They were basically just buying like tokens with metadata attached to them. They saw some like initial concept art, and but yeah, basically, what was really interesting is actually because they came in so early, they were a part of the project so early. We got to build. We got to build the game alongside them, and they've really taken a lot of ownership. So they feel like they're stakeholders, investors in the project. They also feel like they're kind of, they have a lot of input and feedback into the product, which is true because they were there since the beginning. So I think like part of what is special about a blockchain game is it's not just like a kind of one-way kind of communication kind of system between developers and gamers, where typically a developer, they're like, okay, like we think users are going to like this, so we're going to build this, and then they they develop the game for a really long time, and they have a beta or whatever, and they start to gather user feedback after a really long process, right? Whereas for us, it's like we had users and people who cared about our project before you could do anything. Before, like when it was basically just art and tokens, right? So I think that's something that's really cool about our project, and potentially a lot of blockchain games. We were so early. We were like one of the first projects right after cryptokitties. I don't know if anyone could actually do that these days, where basically you need to have a little bit more to get people in. But yeah, I really like how the Axie community was there from day one, helping us and guiding us as we built the game. And I think they really feel empowered. Like I also think that the blockchain creates a lot of really interesting incentive mechanisms where your users are incentivized to help grow the network without necessarily paid, a quote unquote wage, because basically they take a position in the underlying asset of the network. They then they do work to add value to it. So I think it creates a lot of really unique and interesting behaviors. We've seen Axie musicals. We've seen Axie things. People stream Axie quite frequently. They're doing guides. They're helping with new player onboarding. You go into the Axie Discord, and ask questions. You'll find the most helpful community, probably in blockchain. And I think we're early in the gaming industry. I think there's something super interesting happening in our Discord. So yeah, I think the best way to find out why Axie it's been able to do what we've done so far. It hasn't, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think, we still have a lot to prove, but, there has been some success. We have been a viable business. And I think a lot of it comes down to what's happening in our Discord with the community, or how they really feel empowered. And I think that's what blockchain is about. It's about empowering users. It's about empowering people to actually own their data. And a game asset is just data, right? And I think computer science, they say, or basically conventional game developers and their users, they have what in computer science is referred to as a master-slave relationship, where the gamers, they have basically inferior copies of their game assets, where they don't have control. They don't have basically admin control of their game asset as the developers, and that causes a lot of problematic incentives and types of relationships. So I think the underlying technology is fundamentally changing how game developers and users kind of interact and see each other. And I think the Axie community has been one of the best examples, if not the best example, of how that relationship can kind of shift moving forward.
Yeah, thank you for the great sharing. Yeah, I think so. From your point of view, do you think that, what are the most difficult challenges from technological aspects, from a user, from the community aspects, kind of what are the difficulty that you think it's hard to build, it hard to build a product, it's hard to build a game based on blockchain, or it's hard to build a community around that game and blockchain.
Well, I think it's easier than build. I mean, it's a lot of work, right? And the development in a blockchain game is quite difficult because you're dealing with infrastructure problems as well as like game design and things like that. So I mean, that's what makes it more interesting and more intellectually challenging, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you're dealing with infrastructure problems and as well as game design problems and also economics. But I think that's also what gives us an advantage because those are problems that traditional game developers aren't used to tackling. But
Mm-hmm.
our developers have competitive programming backgrounds; like they can pick things up really quickly. I studied monetary theory and central banking. Like I'm not a typical person working at a game company. I thought working at a game company would was always really boring. When I learned about blockchain games, like, hey, like I could actually be a central banker in this economy. So I found that more interesting. And then,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think like, there are unique problems for sure. But for us, I think those would play to our advantage. So yeah, I think also it's like, managing the expectations of your community. Managing that relationship also like adds another layer of complexity that traditional game developers aren't used to because they're not used to like really loving and having relationships with their players, or personal relationships with their players. Like I think, a lot of them, they just see them as customers, right? Like I would never see any of our players as a customer. There are partners, there are stakeholders. So I think I think it's quite challenging for a conventional game developer to really understand all the
Yeah.
nuances it takes to
But
be
you guys
successful.
did. You guys did it, right?
I mean, it's a new thing, and it takes I don't know, it takes a change in perspective, and I think
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people on we're all open-minded, curious, we're interested in paradigm shifts.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So one of the things that I like most from Axie Infinity is the way you guys design the arts, right? It looks quite cute. And the other things about technologically, it's about you guys make a game which is running smoothly, you know. And so I think it's making that game running on blockchain smoothly one of the most challenging problem from a technical perspective. It's from my point of view as well. I think so. So yes, so I think I would like to ask Kai, one of questions about Dapps.com. It's not really about Dapps.com, but Dapps.com it's one of the largest website that do rankings statistic for the central applications games from different blockchains such as Ethereum, US, TomoChain as well. You guys have so my question is can you what are the factors that you use to rank a decentralized application or game on blockchain? And maybe in your opinion, what is the most important factor among them? Because I see the way that there are different kind of factors on that would concentrate transaction volume and different things. So maybe can you explain a little bit?
Okay, sure. So let's put it in two parts. So one is the regular numbers that people who pay attention, like people pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
How many users, right? Is this users or like what we call DAU? It's not like what we did in the traditional like the mobile internet companies that say this app called Instagram, they has DAU, right? It's different. So what we measure here is the on-chain users. So basically, whenever there's an address that has generated an interaction with the smart contracts, right? So in the game, it's either gonna be a purchase or either gonna be an actions, right? Either like a battle, right? When you sign in and all that. right? So this is counted as a user that's on chain, right? And then so when there's a transactions, and then there's a then to be recorded, right? How many times that all the user has interacted with the smart contract. And in addition to that, I think like Jiho mentioned that like there's a lot of money involved in games. It's either like on Ethereum when you need to pay a gas fee, right? And then also when you make a purchase, when you need to like make any actions, so there's fees involved. So this is the volume that we measure as well. So so just now you asked about how do we measure, right? So we
Yeah.
basically measure in a few ways. That's what our ranking. It's not easy to apply all of them to, because different blockchains are different, right? But we want trying to do it in a more general way. So one third thing we measure is the on-chain users, and then on top of the on-chain users, we measure the quality of users, right? So the quality of users, like Ziho mentioned, right? Like say Axie Infinity, the user of Axie Infinity, as example, the average consumption of a user is $600, right? And then when the others, that's like there's only like small amount of like an account that has say like 0.001 Tomo, then the quality of that user would be definitely like lower, right? And then the third one is the amount of transaction that will occur, right? And then also there's one thing that we're trying to track. It's called the funding source of a user account. So basically, we know that all the transactions can be tracked. Say for example, today we have this account, and then this account contributed like say $100 into the smart contract of a certain time, right? But and then we usually go back to check where did those funds come from. So in the back in 2017, 2018, early 2018, when a lot of dApps are trying to manipulate the numbers there, and then trying to make a lot
Oh,
of
really?
project, we can easily track that. Okay, so go back to maybe 2 layers. We can see, oh, like so all the funds are from one account. So because in the blockchain space, say today if I have 1 Ether, and then I put it into one smart contract of the dApp, and then and so it generated one user, one transactions, and one Ether worth of transaction volume. But I can also do it in another way, that I can split it into 100 different accounts and use all these 100 different accounts to interact with the smart contract, and then it generated 100 users and 100 transactions, and also same as 1 Ether. Right? So we basically try to track all those sources. So when we filter that, oh, like we detected, oh, there's some of the funds that were like from the same account. So we usually like the smart contract of a dApp lose points, right? And then users attention, right? The users can have a lot of can interact with a lot of smart contracts, but say if this player plays Axie Infinity every week against others, so then it draws higher attention from the users, right? And then also there's something that we also track, such as a community, right? So when your community is big and your community is constantly growing, at the end of the day, you're gonna bring in new users, a huge amount of users, right? That's how we define a community, right? So so like whenever a dApp set has a strong, fast-growing community, say for example Wink, what known as Tron Bet, right? It has the most solid community, right?
Right.
So that's why it got on the Binance as well. We basically look at all these data, and then we put it into an algorithm to rank these dApps. So yeah, so this is how we measure if a dApp is a good dApp.
So you guys have a good algorithm to detect fake volumes as well, right?
Yeah. We don't filter out all those, but we want to make it easier for the users. So we want to tell them, you just look at one number, and then you'll be able to know. Yeah.
Okay, nice, great. I didn't know that before. Thanks
Yeah.
for telling that. I want to ask the last question before we continue with the next section about questions from the community. So this question will be some kind of general questions. How do you guys see the potentials of blockchain games in Southeast Asia countries?
You want to start first? Okay, I'll start first.
Maybe you can continue. Maybe you can continue.
Yeah, so we went into
just share your share the knowledge about the potentials of blockchain games in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I think so. Population is really big, right? And then I saw that there are a lot of ongoing activities in the community in Southeast Asia. We ran we hosted what we call the Dappathon in KL. We did it in Ho Chi Minh City as well. We've been to a lot of cities in Southeast Asia, try to explore the industry. So far what I see is the number of users and number of people who cares about what's happening in this field and what's gonna happen in the future. Like people are curious about it. So the quality of the existing community is very good. Like when we come to TomoChain's meetup last time, like I saw a lot of students and maybe like people who doesn't really know what crypto is, but they ask valuable questions, and it shows a lot of enthusiasm on the industry. So I think overall, from the quality of users, quality of the existing community is very good. And at the same time, I think on one hand we have users, and on the other hand we have builders, right? We have developers. And I think first of all, Vietnam has one of the best developer communities as well, right? Like all you guys developers in Vietnam, right? And then we have a good project like Carbon Network, like Ethereum Mons, and all these guys are very good guys, hard talented developers, and we are constantly building as well. Like we used to work with the coder schools in Vietnam as well, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
Talking about like the fundamental of the foundation of all these developer communities are solid. So as long as we are able to build up the awareness of the blockchain games, we'll be able to bring them in, and the development of the whole industry will be getting better. Yeah, that's how I feel about Southeast Asian markets.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Joe, you wanna talk something?
So Southeast Asia is a huge market for both crypto and gaming, independently, right?
Right.
So I mean, for example, I believe that Vietnam is like 5th in terms of traffic to Binance. And yeah, places like the Philippines are some of the top mobile gaming markets in the world. So I think it's like a perfect storm. So yeah, I think like the people are potentially like really open to embracing blockchain games. We just need to deliver like more smooth experiences. So yeah, we're gonna do some experiments with like local meetups for the mobile app once it's live, to kind of onboard the local crypto community, but also people who are just into gaming and interested in trying something a little bit different. So yeah, I think it's a promising market, and yeah, I'm excited that I get to be here kind of on the ground and experience it firsthand. And yeah, a lot of the potential has not been realized yet, because the products are just not good enough, and there hasn't been enough time to develop these products, because we're still in an infrastructure phase. We're still developing a lot of infrastructure and product at the same time. The industry is only 1.5 years old. Most games, like polished games, take way longer than that to develop. Let alone and that's not even like where they're building infrastructure as well. So yeah, I think we're going to see some interesting stuff definitely in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I am excited to being a part of the community, Southeast Asia countries, and we see a lot of development from both infrastructure level as well as the ecosystems as well. We see different applications from Axie Infinity, from Kyber, different applications, decentralized applications and games. So of course we are still at a very early stage. So we could not say that we are whether we are successful or not, whether we are already successful or not. But I mean, we will see. We already, right? I mean, we already from sure. We did a lot, right? Even the technological challenges, we see Axie Infinity building a smooth game, based on blockchain. We see, Dapps.com, having, some kind of algorithm that can, detect fake balloons in the. I love to see, to see in the near future we can have more games, more developers joining the crypto and blockchain space, right?
Yeah.
So now let's get into the section 2. We're gonna answer questions, some of the questions from the community. So I said that sorry everyone. I said some of the questions got some kind of time limitation, as well as we want to we want the AMA this AMA specifically for building a gaming ecosystem of blockchain. So for general questions about TomoChain, like the consensus algorithm, the economics mechanism in TomoChain, you can ask in the next AMA, I guess so, because this is totally about building the gaming ecosystem. So I want to start with the first question that I chose from the list. I think it's interesting. So it's what is the most important factor when choosing a blockchain to build a decentralized application or a game? Just build on it. Just is it a technology which has the potential to increase the game experience? Is the amount of existing users? I mean, as a native code or something else, or the development teams free to choose what kind of blockchain that they think, and they can convince the community to use it.
Yeah, I think so. Basically, it depends on whether you're a new blockchain game or a game with a user base. So basically, if you're a new blockchain game, I think you have to basically go with something that already have an existing user base. That's why we choose to launch on Ethereum mainnet in the beginning. So there's no other options back then as well. I think that was a good decision. Later on, like you might be able to, you might be able to use like this. If for example, if like a mainstream game, decided to build a blockchain game, they could just potentially try and just build on whatever blockchain has the best technical specs for them, potentially. We don't know yet. It has never been done. It hasn't happened. But that theoretically could be the case. So I think like existing user base, network effects, developer tooling is very important. User experience, those are all considerations. So.
Yep. Kai?
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. So basically, so it really depends on so right now there are so many blockchains, right? And there at the same time there are a lot of developers who are building blockchain games as well. So it's always like the blockchains always want to bring the good IPs, like the good content, we call good content, right? Good blockchain games into the blockchains to try to get more exposure, get more users through the blockchain, right? Because when say like, hey, I built this awesome game, I don't know, NBA 2K that was built on blockchain, it definitely bring in a lot of traffic, bring in a lot of users, new users, new mainnet account holder, even like token holders to a new blockchain. So and on the other hand, so when a game we're trying to launch, it also want to optimize the resources that they could have, right? So as a developer, we try to so if the reason why I launch on XYZ blockchain because hey, his founder is popular. He has like 1 million followers on Twitter.
Right.
I can draw a lot of attention from the markets, and then there are people say, hey, like I want to join this blockchain because it funded me with like 100 million, like $1 million US fund to fund my project, right? So there's always like both parties trying to get the most out of it. So I also happen to talk to a lot of blockchains, we attended a lot of hackathon, or like a DApp contest run by block. So we see that we've seen bounty hunters. So basically, these like guys at this company that he built the product. So basically, whenever like there's a blockchain called Nebulous. They ran a contest and I go and join, right? So I make like the money out of them. And then the other day, Ontology runs a Dapps contest, and then I just migrated to Ontology, and then I win it again. So that so basically, these companies that they're trying to evaluate that it's what like when they consider a blockchain, like they consider in the long term or short term, right? In the short term is how to get the most out of it, right? So it's either I get some funding the grants, or maybe it is really popular right now for this blockchain. I can allocate all my resources to build on this blockchain and to make the most of it. And in the long term, they at the end they either do it in pay. Like I think like I want to build in this blockchain because in the longer term I see the growth and I see it's gonna win. Or maybe like they want to focus on certain markets. Say if I want to start my project in Southeast Asia market, so I definitely go with TomoChain to start and then expand to Japan because you guys are big in Japan as well. So in terms of strategies, like the developers are trying to use blockchain, the different blockchain as their approach to markets. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Totally agree. So just a note to the people, to the participants. We have received around 50 questions from the community, but we could not answer all of the questions just because we want to focus. We want to have questions focusing on the building up the gaming ecosystem of blockchain. So I want to ask the next question. I think before that, I just want to remind people that Kai just said that you guys just done a Dappathon, right? It's some kind of a Dapp contest. So we also at TomoChain, we also doing a Dappathon. It's like the online hackathon, an online hackathon that people can build games and submit to our portal network. So we have the hackathon since April this year, and the deadline will be the beginning of September. So any one of you, being a developer, if you want to submit your games to our portal, to our network, you can submit it to win the prize. So the next question I want to ask is I want to ask specifically to Jiho. So the question is about having thought about opening the creative process of the AC character design at the app level, or at least make it somewhat a bit more customizable through direct input of the players. I post the questions on Zoom link on Zoom chat so everyone can see. It's the question a bit long, but basically, so that community member will ask us whether AC Infinity has some kind of open design for the community contribute their design to the gaming system.
I see the question.
Yep.
Well, so there are. I mean, we do love user-generated content.
Yep.
There are some considerations here, right? Like we also have to kind of maintain a very high quality of work within the ecosystem. So we're very strict on that. I think what the user is asking about is, I mean, we already do allow a relatively large amount of creative process around Axie character design. Like that's one of the cool things about the breeding system, that if you want to create, an Axie that's never been seen before, you can definitely go out there and do it and breed for it. It's because there's six body parts and so many different parts in each slot that basically, that's why it's called Axie Infinity, because there's infinite combinations almost of Axies. So we do believe in that type of character customization. Community art being accepted like into the official kind of canon or official art of the universe. That's also something that we'll explore down the line through governance, user-generated content. So yeah, like, you know, it's something that is interesting and something that we want to explore. You just have to be very careful about it because we have very high standards, and I think that's also like, you know, what's resonated with our users so far. So it's kind of balancing act. Like, but yeah, I mean, I believe in like kind of more of a concentrated, some might say centralized, like approach to certain things in the beginning, and gradually giving more control over to the community over time. That's how I'm an American. That's how even our country was like that too. Like the founding fathers, it was quite a lot of power within Washington and Hamilton to start, and then actually the Constitution was created to basically make it so that it was very difficult kind of change their vision. So it's like kind of centralized to start and then decentralized to lock in. So that's kind of the model that I look at. So yeah, like gradually we'll give definitely more creative control or more creative direction over the product to our community. But I also don't want to be like one of those projects where it's like, oh, it's up to the community.
Right.
I think like
driven, right.
There was a game called Crypto Kitties that like said, oh, like, you know, it's up to the community to do everything now, and it didn't really work out so well. So
yeah, right. So yeah, I think the answer is already say that, you know, so anyone, if you want to generate creative contents, you can just contribute to the ecosystem. It's infinity, I guess so. So the next question, I think, is about, you know, it's from the community member. I think this question is quite interesting. So the question says that, you know, unlike traditional games, the name of the game on blockchain is quite unfamiliar to users. What will you do to introduce users and participate in the game on blockchain? And when you publish games on blockchain, what obstacles and difficulties do you encounter, and how did you guys get over it? I posted the question on Zoom chat, so you guys can see. So it's I guess the question is about, you know, how do we spread? I mean, how do we make people understand the game? How do we educate people? How do we attract people to play games on blockchain, so that people can understand that you know, the gaming on blockchain maybe, and, you know, in some aspects is better than, you know, traditional games, right?
yeah, I mean, I think you have to basically just tell them about the benefits, and then you have to make the onboarding very smooth. So basically you have to create an ecosystem that makes play to earn possible, where they can basically earn money by playing your game. And you have to make onboarding really smooth. So basically just email, like, I guess our approach for our mobile application will be email login, you get issued an account. That account has a wallet attached to it, but they don't even know that it's a wallet. They get some like free Axies that are soul-bound that they can't really trade, just to fall in love with the universe. And once they fall in love with the universe, they meet the community, then they can learn a little bit more about like the blockchain aspects of it. Right now, like the onboarding process is quite like, you have to download MetaMask right at the beginning where you even want to know if you want to interact with this application. Yeah. So kind of it's a big hurdle. So yeah, it's. I mean, there are technical innovations that needed, and infrastructure solutions that needed to be built. I think everyone, like, people wouldn't have relied, you know, wouldn't have done this if it was possible to onboard people with email and a smart contract wallet like a year and a half ago. But it takes some time to like build. So yeah, it's coming. The infrastructure is progressing rapidly, and like the thinking is also progressing. I think you know, it's just a hypothesis, but I think it's a winning formula. I also think I have to leave soon. Is it okay?
Hi.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I believe that I also had the same feeling that it's like, it's not familiar, right, for normal users, traditional gamers, to get on board on any of the application. Either like, depends on the countries, right? In China, you basically only need like a WeChat accounts, right? Or maybe you don't even need to use your email. right?
Mhm.
Just use the email to register account, and then they can start playing all that. You don't have to like in the traditional gaming industry that we don't even need to go through all the process of hey what is crypto, right? Hey, what is smart contract? What's wallet address? What is private key? What's MetaMask? Whatever there's a gas fee, like oh I don't have any tokens, I can't book at all, right? And all this problem. So I guess but but since like blockchain games are like we
Hello. Okay. I think just I just have connectivity problem. I guess so. Oh, I come back.
sorry I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So basically um it's like if we go to like decentralization is always a hard way. Like I usually give an example of like when Binance when Binance launched, they didn't launch a centralized exchange, but they launched a decentralized exchange. They couldn't be the Binance of today because it's super user unfriendly. So
Mm-hmm.
so right now we're kind of like putting the elements of centralized proof and centralized wallets integrated with that browser to make the onboarding process easier. So as far as you like, so there are few steps, few group of people who will get into the blockchain games. Is either like so you already exist in blockchain games, and then the second group of people is like I have crypto, but I had never tried it before. I don't have those tools. I don't know anything about that. And then the third group,
Mm-hmm.
like people are outside of the crypto space. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess many people who are outside of the crypto space need a lot of efforts and needs the whole industry to move forward. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, the second group of people that we're targeting is the people that already has a token, but they have never experienced Dapps or blockchain games. So I think when we look at the numbers of people who had tried Dapps on all the mainstream blockchains, it's only like a total amount of I think less than 5%. But Ethereum is like only 2% of the mainnet accounts has interacted with the smart contract of
Mm-hmm.
Dapps. So there's still 95% of the markets that we need to cover. Um, like that is something that we're looking at right now.
Mm. Yeah. Nice. I guess yeah, we already run we have run how I guess so. So the last question I want to ask you, ask you guys, what is the game that you guys like the most? It's the question is for Kai, and the question for Jiho is what is the game that you like second? I mean, that you prefer just behind. I know you like, AC Infinity the most. Just behind it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I haven't spent in a lot of times on games recently.
Yeah,
I mean,
just from your perspective, what kind of games, what kind of activities? Uh, the game story, maybe you like the game story. It doesn't mean
like
that you have to play it.
yeah, I mean like because I think I spent like for traditional game I spent a lot of time on PUBG, and
Mhm.
I last game that I played on blockchain was Steam Monster.
Okay.
Yeah, just Steam Monster. It was kind of addictive. I mean, like even though like I mean like every game was pretty fast, right? Because you I only played with the regular pack, and like it was pretty fast, and then I got to adjust my strategy, and then there are a lot of active players that are playing against me. So I spent like 5 hours consecutive like to just play until I have to go and stop. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just personal, of course. How about you, Jiho?
Mhm.
CryptoKitties? No.
I say Axie Infinity, you know.
My favorite game. Well, I'm actually an advisor for a game called Battle Racers.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. Basically, like a racing game, and you'll be able to earn different tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, like the developer Gabby is also really active in the Axie community. So, and I think he has learned a lot too, like about how to make a good community in a blockchain game from the Axie community. So yeah, that's one game that I'm pretty excited for personally, and that's like the last game other than Axie that I actually like spent any money on. So.
Yeah, sure. I mean, me personally, I think I like AC. Yeah, AC. That's quite very cool. So I think it's what's the interesting questions from the community related to gaming ecosystem. Yeah, there are some other questions that some people, some community members ask about TomoZ, which is a new protocol, TomoChain protocol, which is recently launched. So the question is about whether the TomoChain and TomoZ look perfect for creating unique game-related tokens. Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna answer this question because this is related to the recently launched protocol of TomoChain, and it's also related to games because that protocol will massively improve the user experience in using decentralized applications and in playing games as well. So it's a question I posted on the Zoom chat. So I'd say that TomoZ is TomoZ Z in zero friction. So it's a protocol that we have launched. So it allows imagine that if you are having a token, if you are having a token, you want to send that token over the network, Ethereum or TomoChain, you have to hold Tomo, you have to hold Ether, and it's a kind of friction that just hinders user adoption, hinders mass adoption of blockchain. So what we did is that instead of paying transaction fee in the native by using the native token of the blockchain, we allow token holders to pay transaction fee using the token itself. So if you are holding token X, you can send you can make transactions sending token X to Jiho or to Kai without holding Ether, we are holding Tomo in the wallet. Just seeing it in the transaction fee will be paid in the token, and with this ability, you can just imagine that if you are building a game or decentralized applications and you want to airdrop the tokens to onboard new users, you just send them the tokens and they just use a token to play the game to use services, the decentralized application services. They don't have to deal with the friction, the complication of different steps. Buying Ether, buying Tomo. It's why TomoZ is created. So we already have a tutorial. The first part of the tutorial, our tutorial, about building the first game using our TomoZ protocol with a new standard token which is called TRC21. It's already on chain, so you can use it. You can issue the token within, I would say 30 seconds. Issuing the token within 30 seconds without any programming knowledge. So that's what I want to answer for this question. So more more questions about the TomoChain blockchain and the consensus, proof of stake voting consensus, the rewarding system, the TomoX protocol. We will answer these questions in the next AMA. So yeah, of course, thank you, Kyle, CEO and founder of Dapps.com, and thank you, Jiho, growth lead from Axie Infinity as well, for joining us this monthly AMA. So thank you for sharing great knowledge and valuable knowledge that I didn't know before. So also in this AMA we already see we have selected five, six most interesting questions so that the people who pose that question can receive our airdrops from TomoChain. So we're gonna contact the people that have the most interesting questions. So thank you for everyone for joining this AMA. Yeah, thank you again. Jiho, and thank you, Kai. Want to say sorry? Want to say bye?
Thanks for inviting.
I heard you guys are coming to Beijing, right? TomoChain.
Yeah.
When is it?
What's that?
When are you guys coming to Beijing?
Beijing.
Yeah, I heard from from Bui that you guys are coming. But never mind. Let's catch up.
I think let's get you can catch up that with Boy. I think you can talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah. Thank you very much. So
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
It's the last thing. Sorry, just forget. I just did recording the entire AMA, so we're gonna upload it to our YouTube channel, so everyone can watch it again on our YouTube channel. So thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Right, good night.